and welcome to some demonstration of what we call Maven. What you're looking at is our Maven app. It's really kind of in an alpha phase. We're going to talk a little bit about it and see some of the things we can do. For anybody watching this video, I hope you've seen or played around a little bit with our Illuminate beta listed up here, because that's the Aptiv, or the sort of application world package that we just built with Maven. Again, it's an alpha, so it's a little messy, but there's an awful lot going on. So here's our basic empty screen. I actually already have a little panel up that's highlighted here, and a little picture. It doesn't have any behavior into it, but it was activated when I went into Maven mode. So I right-click on, I'm going to right-click on this guy, and it pulls up Maven. This might be a little confusing at first. One thing I'm doing, you'll see there's this little button up here. Whenever I go into any of the Maven modes, it kind of lets me jump back to the space I'm creating in if I move around to other spaces. So it's been a helpful little add feature. So in Maven, we have the just interact mode, which is when there's no overlay, and then you have, and that was just the arrow, and then we have these other T modes. We're in the edit mode right now. This is stuff to edit interfaces and change the screen or channel that you're looking at. There's also a travel mode that lets us jump to different ones that we've already created. There's a text mode for editing particular text. A teach one that anyone who's seen our Synergy videos would have some familiarity with. Zoom lets us pan across a very big space. As you'll see, we start filling in interfaces quite quickly, and that lets us fly around. And join sort of connects different pieces to each other. And the first example of that might be that this little picture is put inside of that little rectangle. So you see, as I move it around, if I disappear it, the whole interface goes away, and as I slide it about, it retains its proportions and sort of handles the type of anchoring or spacing that we gave it. We can look at that in more detail. It's the layout of this particular item, so maybe I reduce it in something like that. But it is helpful, and if I select the outer box, and you can see that the traditional sort of move a rectangle stuff is all present here, so I can move that around and resize from sides or from corners. Nothing unusual there, the types of things we'd expect. But let's talk about actually making an app. So Illuminate has the requirements of some navigation to different screens or channels of activity, and it has some editing data. So we're going to look at some of the basics of Maven, and then we'll check out Illuminate and see how some of this is done. The first thing we have in our little edit mode is we can open up the meaning for what a particular interface element has. We can actually use it, and we can go through the art used to create it, the layout for that art, the actual model, such as a picture or a conjured 3D image or text or lines. You see these lines that are sort of following the cursor and making connections between things, or points or holograms or x-ray scans, whatever the data, the model style might be, or the actual style itself, the craft, the little fine details. We've just created a world, so we're not going to do that in this demo, and we've added this channel with one panel in it. So I've just clicked on those, and the first thing we're going to do with this guy is, oops, I clicked it again, so it toggled off. We're going to clone it. Let's clone and make a second one. And whenever we do that, now we've got another item. Let's change the let's start with the art, because visuals are the things most of us relate to easiest. So what happened when I did that, you can see there's a connector from the image we just picked, a little line that's going over here to this particular panel that says utility model bank. That's what's going on, and it tells us, oh, there's a picture in there, there's a layout, there's a bunch of other information, and we can check all that out after. But let's go with the most basic. Let's pick out a new picture, and you see how it's sliding over? We start to move our pieces all over the place, which is good because we have a lot of area. That's why we have the zoom mode up here. But I'm just going to pop back so there's no confusion. And in fact, I'm going to close that. Well, let's just focus. So we have a bunch of images here. Let me click on this selection of pictures. It's going to move it up so it's a little easier to process. And this set of pictures are all from a directory. These are just the resources that we put together for Illuminate. It could be any set of images. Right now we're supporting pings, JPEGs, you know, any type of media, movies, web pages too. Lots of different input types, but these are ones given to me by Josh. And the ones that have like a letter and a number, they aren't actually in use. They don't have a real name. So I might pick, you know, the wand. Hey, that's kind of cool. Or maybe we pick, let's see, an ingredient button. I don't know what that one was for. What else is not being currently used? Thumbnail, or this slash one. Where's the regular eye? I forget what's down here. Smiley face. Nope. There's the home one. So whatever we might pick, maybe we've even you know, selected the old logo. We can again move that around or clone it, and then take the thing that we've just cloned and move that over, and maybe we want to change what that does, what its image, and I can keep this menu up. It should still change the earlier one, so I can start to customize my space to have the things that I frequently might change always handy for me. I really like that because most of our time as developers, whether you're actually an engineer, programmer type, or just a designer or somebody who's just tweaking, a lot of your time is spent finding data, arranging it so you can make quick changes, and you can really, whether you're tweaking, just making small alterations, or you're editing fully, or you're creating straight from scratch, it's a lot of effort to be made. So, you know, it's an important process to be able to edit things and sort of, you know, handle where they are. What was the logo? Oh yeah, I'm just trying to remember what's in here. You know, we've established, sure, so you can, you know, change some of these things. Let's look at the actual behavior inside of one of these. Let's see what one of these is doing. I'm going to close up that previous one. Let's go over here and we can look at the meaning for this. Let me see, you know, what is the actual path open, right? And there's a value for it, so we can see the types of things we can change it to based on what behaviors we put into this particular box. So I'm going to close this guy for a second, and let's see. Let's go to this one. In fact, I'm going to go back to, actually, I'm going to close this up. We'll go over to the original gear that we first picked. Let's look at its meaning. And now, what do we have here? We've got a title up top. We have some info for it, and we have an action. I'm going to pick an action. Well, we have channel change. Let's we can leave that action alone for the moment. We can change where it's going, and so this is exciting to share because I'm just going to drag it over here for the moment. These are the previous channels that we had picked. So all the examples that had been picked before are sort of here. That's why there's a whole bunch of nuns when I didn't pick something. It's just restoring a history. And what I want to share with you is that this is really exciting, again, to iterate and build software, to make an application, because all the recent choices, they're all right there for every single piece of data, not for just a particular interface or a special thing. All of them. They are all there. And that's it's really helpful. Again, it saves a lot of time. I'm not trying to figure out where was that, what was the value, what was the thing. We can only put in valid values. I can only select things that are going to work. So let's test this out. And what we've done is we've selected the first ingredient channel. I know that's in Illuminate the first visual that is applied to a given image. And I'm going to let's see, close this up, and this right here, this is actually telling us it's a little bit cut off. It's not wrapped around, which I should be thinking of. Change channel to first ingredient. Okay, you know, we actually first ingredient channel. That is the full behavior, and we can see this info. If you look up here, info 1 subject. Ah, that's the one. A lot of these have several infos: subject, object, indirect object, just like grammar in a regular sentence. And also remember that everything you're looking at can be interacted with. Can we change toggle? Can be seen? Sure, we can. On, off. You know. Can we? Oh, we're going to actually test it, right? I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to close up that interface. I have them to stay open because, again, it's just useful to have them in place as I go through and edit other pieces. So if I click on this guy now, does it take us to that first ingredient? We'll see. Okay, sorry, silly, because I know it will. But it's nice to be able to edit those things. Now, we've already built this guy. But well, we'll come back here in a second. I'm going to pull up the Maven interface for a moment and just pop back to my original edit channel, because this situation here, I'm going to select this little box, shorten it up a little maybe. Well, it doesn't have to be that small. I'm going to select this guy, move him down a little bit right there. I know this is not the same home page, and that's by intentional. But you can see how quickly we can start to pick things out. So let me select the art for this guy, or that other picture. Let me change it. What do we have on the start page? Oh, this is... I don't even know where we want to go with that. What else do I want to pick? Home? I'm not really sure if we need to do that. But, you know... And let's clone it. So I've got a new version of it. Let me drag that guy over. Let me clone this guy again, just to show you that, you know, it's anybody can apply at any time. And maybe we will change the art on that one to be the camera. All right. And what else would we want to do? Or the wand. You know, that wand thing is always interesting, right? All right. And let's close up all these guys. What if we select? Oh, we'll select the whole little interface bar, and we can clone that guy too. So now I've just created a whole version of this. If I want to have an alternate, maybe maybe I will shrink some of these guys down. So their spacing is anchored. Relative to the bar, we can have their spacing be anchored to each other. We just have to go into our join menu over here. My mouse is acting weird. That's not a problem with the software. Let's see. So, you know, we've started to build an app with interactive icons straight from scratch. Let's see. What else can I pull up? Oh, so we talked about the art itself, but we can look at the layout for it, all the information. Actually, I think that's way too detailed. Let me save that for a different video. But the model itself shows us what's here and what we can be adjusting in this space. So I'm pulling up other things that this guy could do. We can change the way it looks in a variety of ways. All right, I have gotten us a little. I need to close some of this out. But what you're looking at is a rich array of many different choices that can be made. Now I am closing some stuff out. And I will head over to the classic Illuminate home that we've already built. And even here, all these guys are each of them are interactive or movable, just like we saw in the first one. This is in a little bar. We have to go to join to select that guy. For team members listening, that's the stuff I got to jump back out to sort of make happen. Um, let's go back into that first ingredient. Now, normally in Illuminate, what Josh requested, or the design, which came from many people, Jess, Christopher, Ken, Scott, I'm sure too, Mike. I don't want to forget names, but lots of people who came to a design, and all of it was just dragged out, and all of it is about just tying these guys together, and then selecting them, changing what their initial values are, arranging them, and changing what the meaning is for them. So let's look at the meaning of this guy. By the way, it is overlapping on that, and I should do something about the opacity, the see-through factor, but I haven't yet. So what happens with this sentence? Well, let's take a look. That is replace equation craft with another equation craft. So there's some information here that isn't presented in English currently. It should be. I just haven't gotten that done yet. And I stretched this out just so we could read it well in the video. But there's another way to also just see this, which is hover over here. Whenever we're hovering, by the way, like any type of tooltip, currently we just have the name of whatever we're looking at on the left side, and the what does it do? What's the meaning? The subject, predicate, a noun, verb, direct object, the little sentence that will occur. And now, in the next video, we're going to show compound sentences, how one sentence sort of opens up and gives a whole paragraph, and now how that is generating code at runtime for a CPU assembly, for GPU's shading language, or assembly stuff like PTX for NVIDIA, or GCN for AMD, or other specialized chips, FPGAs, special APIs, even WebAssembly, so we can do, or JavaScript itself. Anything sort of a free game, or other programming languages. This can actually dump out to JavaScript or to C. It's not all together, but the potential for the instructions to always be translated is always there. So there's a little subject, target, and here's the verb of what it does. And we know that is, oops, let me just close this down. Oh, this is showing us, all right. So if I select on somebody, it will, transfer in there. Let's look at the Lego, or the toy figure for a second here. So let's select him down here. Now in Illuminate, we have a situation where we wanted some attributes that we could alter, like head size. And this should be showing up, by the way, like pin-headed or big-headed, or small body, large. And there should be a sentence here that puts all of the not default, or when compared to another, words up top to make its own little sentence of what you're seeing. Coming soon. But when we look at this guy, what's interesting is not just building an interface with Maven, but making some data that we can work with later. So let me click on this back again. When I look at the model for this particular guy, and again, sorry for the overlap, I'm sure that's a little visually confusing, but it's showing me, oh, here's the craft. This is the craft for this particular character, and it has a toy figure. And there's some there's no downsampling. There's a presenting, we can look at what's happening. But let's click on this. This shows us, oh, we have a Zach figure, Chandra figure, and actually let me move it down there so we can see, because again the pan has sort of brought us a little far off. That's just what's happened. I can put it up here. I'll shorten it so it'll be a little bit easier to see and read, and then we'll see what I'm trying to express. So, oh, I just clicked to go back because there's a little icon up there that I leave around for myself. So when we start sculpting all this data, all these little features, how blue is that suit? Let's make it not very blue, but let's make it much more green right now. I guess that's yellow. Okay. And maybe we'll redden these up just so it's distinct. Although those are some ugly colors, sorry. Anyway, I have a figure. This is Zach. He's changed. If I flip over to Chandra, So she's changed down here. I gotta click to copy her in there. Or different characters. They're all right here. And I can have large amounts of stored data that I can always look at, I can always edit correctly, I can see the history for, and I can quickly swap between if I want to have lots of configurations, or even just tweaking. Even before shipping, or maybe even as part of your featured app, you might want to switch between lots of little configurations. Well, what if we do it like this? That's the default? And sometimes if there's a real lot of data together, you're going to write a programming routine, or you're going to have a special tool, or you'll have some interesting item to sort of make these adjustments. In this case, let me go with big head guy. In this case, we can always store those things, and we'll always be coming right back to a value that, again, is all from our history and use, stored, savable. The point I want to make is when you think about how much time as an engineer you spend writing code that basically says, hey, change these values. If this thing happens, alter these values in this way. Or how you sync things up. Everything you're seeing is highly parallel. By highly, what I mean is every task that can be distributed as a job is done so. There's some things that are serial in nature, first A and then B, but even then, everything is scheduled to sort of maximize how efficient we can be with power and performance. We have the potential of doing that because we can re-alter all these little pieces of data that we sort of control. Some other interesting pieces. So the Illuminate scenario allows a little bit of tweaking. But if we look at the actual craft for our friend here, Mr. Big Head Figure, you can see lots of information. This is unfiltered information. If I start selecting pieces from here and dragging them out, I can start making my own. I can just move this over here. Oops, kind of lost that. Let me get back there. But I can. So I've left the that boost value over there to be edited, which is quite useful for us. Let's see, what did I do with this? I'm trying to see what. Oh, so I'm just going to slide these over a little. So the part to connect. Actually, let me drop out of that for a second. Let me select this guy because I've sort of lost the piece I was trying to have in place, and that's okay. There's a lot happening at the moment here. I cannot seem to get back into that one, so I'm just going to drop out for a moment. I'm going to pop over to let's see, if I go to done, we know in the regular interface, I can pop over here. Anything I might be looking at. What I wanted to establish is, you see these attributes here. I got to them by dragging pieces out, which I just did, and then I think I flipped somebody. But so I'm going to just try the same thing again. And it's interesting too, you'll see that everybody is synced. All of these things are synced. Oh, right, there's the so head size, which is big, I can reduce it. It affects everybody. Everybody is all kept in sync. And you might think to yourself, wow, that's not a big deal. You got one value, everybody's reading it. Actually, no. We actually are generating different values depending on what the need is. The information that gets fed in to make the piece of code that generates this full image, it's not a series. It's a collapsed final single program, and it packs that data in different ways. So when I alter things, all the stuff that feeds into the program that uses, let's say, body size, or, well, head size is the most dramatic and easily seen, it is pulling all that data in and reorganizing it, maybe changing the precision based on what's allowed. We have an awful lot that we're really able to affect, which is kind of exciting. And you can see that everything is linked, not just the visual results, but even some other report over here that is not the same value as over here. Or sorry, they're showing the same number, 19% in this case, but this is its own little entity. This is its own piece. So I can select that guy, and we can alter that piece of art. Every single thing you see, everything, can be edited for its meaning and its the way it shows up sensory. Right now that's just visuals, the different ways of art, but it's also audio and it's also any other sensor or process data. So what's the raw data and what's the presentation? Kind of like model view controller. For every single thing we see, we can adjust. So even that piece we can come back and alter in whatever way we might want to do. So I think that's going to wrap it up for a relatively longer video, but next video I'd love to show some compound, more complex behaviors, because we can do as complicated as any video game or simulation will allow. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to sharing more. Take care.